Hello world, it's the Surfing Scratcher here, bringing you another video connecting the world of Scratch to maths. If you haven't already, check the description below for links to previous videos, as this one is part of a series. In this video, we're going to be exploring an extension to our space value game. What do I mean by that? Well, we're going to look at adding more space objects into our game for more place values, such as 10,000s, 100,000s, or you can go less than one, and you could add some tenths, some hundreds, or some thousands if you want to. If we get some time, we might even look at seeing how we can make our space objects move around the screen in a little bit more of an interesting way. So let's get stuck into it, hey?
Okay, here we are back in our space value Scratch project. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a 10,000s place value column, because we've already got that variable for it, so we just need to add another sprite for it. So what we're going to do is firstly shift all these columns across. Now to do that, we need to press the place value heading or columns, and we need to go into our costumes. And we can just actually, because they're all vectors, we can move them directly across like this and bunch them all a little bit closer together to make some space for our 10,000s. Now, since we've done that, we'll also need to move our variables here to make sure that they're back over the top of where they should be. Now what you can go ahead and do is probably copy that last one, and then you can paste it straight away. And now we will have, once I add in 10,000s right there. Okay, now you can go ahead and modify the color. I'm going to make it to continue my pattern here, so I'm going to make that a blue color. So I'm going to get that selected up there and head across to a bit of a blue, trying to match that similar blue. I think it's a bit more blue. There we go. That's looking a little bit more similar to where it needs to be. I'm going to bring that up. And now it's in line, which is exactly what I want. Actually might just bring it a bit further across here, because later down the track, we're going to be adding another place value column right there. In fact, we might just do that right now while we're here. So I'll shuffle all these back across to get it all ready and set up. And now we're going to be looking for our tenths. So I'll tell you what, I might even just pop a decimal point in there. We'll make that decimal point a funky little color here. There's our decimal point. I'm going to get my tens here. If I can just get my selection tool, copy, paste, and bring that back across there. And it's not going to be tens, it's going to be tenths. There we go. All right, so now our place value columns are all set up, they're ready to go. I need to move my variables across so they are aligned over the top. And now I need to add two more variables in here. So if I go back to my code and back into my variables, I can see that I've already got a 10,000s one here. So there it is right there. I'm going to double click it to get rid of the expanded view, and I'm just going to pop it down there. Now we don't have a tenths variable yet, so we actually need to go ahead and create that one. So I'm going to press this make a variable. I'm going to call it tenths. I'm going to create it for all sprites so we have access to it. And boom, it is now created tenths right there up the top. We'll double click it, and there is our variable. Great, so we've got our variables created. Now we need to go ahead and create our two sprites, because we only have space objects for our tens, hundreds, thousands, and units at the moment. So first things first, I'm going to show you one way to add a sprite for 10,000s, and then I'll do a different way to add it for the tenths. So I'm going to do 10,000s first. We're just going to go choose a sprite. We're not going to do anything too fancy. I'm just going to go up here and type space. And there are a few little space objects here that you can choose from. I'm going to choose a rocket. All right, so this rocket here is, I'm going to rename that to my 10,000s rocket. So we know what that is. I'm going to go into my costumes, going to get my selection tool here, and I'm going to shrink my rocket so it's a little bit smaller. And I'll pop that in the center of the screen. And then all you need to do is go ahead and type in 10,000 there. You can change the font back to a sans serif. You might want to make that white to fall in line with all the other ones that we've done, and we'll just shrink that down so that you can actually see it. Okay, so we've got our 10,000s right there. So we've gone ahead and we've created our 10,000s. But if we zoom out with our script, our code, there is absolutely nothing there. So what we need to do is we need to go and get the code from all the other objects. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag these 3 blocks that are in our units balloon across to the 10,000s, onto the 10,000s right there. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. Now I'm going to go back into my 10,000s, and those 3 blocks should be there. So let's see if we need to change anything in here. When the green flag is clicked, let's hide it. Yep, that sounds pretty good to me. When this sprite is clicked, we need to play the pop sound, we need to hide it, and we need to broadcast the message unit popped. Well, all of that needs to stay, but we do need to change one thing, because we're not popping a unit here, we're popping the 10,000s. So we need to go through and create that. 10,000s popped. I've already got an event there for it. We'll create an event for the tenths to show you how to do that in a moment. So that's good. This is now looking as it should. Now, when I start as a clone, yep, all that's looking good. We want to show it. We're going to wait the delay. We do not need to change that. So that's all looking pretty good to me. You remember through a video in our series that we need to actually hook up this, this variable. But before we do that, let's just press the green flag to see if this will disappear and it's all working. Actually, it won't, because we need to actually add it into our set at the start, which we'll do in a moment. Okay, so let's duplicate this code block. When I receive 10,000s popped, we need to change the 10,000s by 10,000. 10, 1, 2, 3. Okay, if our 10,000s are equal to 100,000, okay, so I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, we need to say our new message, 100,000s popped. Cool. And we need to reset our 10,000s back to 0. All right, so we're actually allowing for our 10,000s. That's all hooked up. Now if it were to appear on the screen and we were to click it, actually if I click this right now, I reckon it would work. Okay, so it's done it twice as an accident there. So that's a little bug that we need to fix, but I know that when I press it, this is actually happening. We're changing the value, which is unreal. Okay, so that's one way that you can create a space object. Another way that you can create a space object, rather than dragging each of these 3 blocks on its own, is you can actually just right click on the sprite and go duplicate. Cool. So now we've got another rocket. We don't actually want 10,000s, we want tenths this time. So this is our tenths. Now we need to go in to our costumes, and we don't want all these costumes anymore. We're going to choose new costume. Let's go back into our space objects. And what are we going to choose this time? Let's see. There was a nice dog in here somewhere. Maybe we'll go the earth. Let's just have the earths as our tenths, because the earth is beautiful. Okay, so we need to have our earth there. Now it's going to be pretty big at the moment, so I'm just going to go through and show it. Pretty sure that's in our... Cool, there's our earth. So I can see it again, and I'm just going to shrink our earth because it's pretty big at the moment. All right, that's looking pretty good. Let's get our text box back up. And these are our tenths this time. So, oh, that's a little bit hard to see. Let me just bring that down to white. Great. So 0.1, they are our tenths, which is looking pretty good. Okay, so when an earth pops up, that is our tenths. Fantastic. So let's go back into our code now and see if we need to change anything. When the green flag is clicked, we need to hide it. When the sprite is clicked, yep. Broadcast the message. Of course, we need to change that. Now, we don't have a tenths popped message, so we actually need to create it again. We'll create a message for that. So we're going to go tenths popped. Great, so now our tenths are popped. When we start as a clone, we're going to choose a random position on the screen. Yes, that is all how it should be. Lastly, we need to go back into our place value. We need to duplicate that piece of code. And now, when our tenths are popped, we're going to be changing our tenths by a tenth. If our tenths are equal to 1, then our unit pops. I'm going to set our tenths back to 0. Okay, so if I click this earth, I'm hoping that we will see an update in our tenths here. Great, and there it is. There we've got just added 1/10, which is exactly what we want it to do. Okay, so these two objects won't actually work at the moment because there is this piece of special code on the stage sprite that serves to like spawn these objects. So let's go and have a look at how we've done that. And that exists here in this big block. So when the green flag is clicked, I'm just trying to get rid of this comment. Okay, yeah, when the green flag is clicked, forever, we've got a space object spawn delay. Okay, and we set that up here. That's every half a second this happens. We've got a balloon index. This is actually just the space object, just called as a balloon index. Now, we're picking a random number between 1 and 4. That's when we had the 4 objects, 1, 2, 3, 4. But now I've got 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we actually need to change that to a value between 1 and 6. We're saying if the index was 1, we would create a balloon. If it was 2, we would create a planet. If it was 3, we'd create a star. If it was 4, we'd create a sun. So what we need to do is go ahead and create, we're going to duplicate that and create 2 more indexes. So indices. When the balloon index is equal to 5, what we're going to do is we're going to go and create a 10,000s rocket. And that's a 10's Earth, isn't it? 10's Earth. Great. And then we'll go across and create, when our index is equal to 6, we're going to create a 10ths Earth. Okay. So, with any luck, that will be our objects appearing with tenths and 10,000s. We've got our decimal point in there, we've got all of our variables. So the last thing we'll need to do is actually go ahead and set our tenths and our 10,000s back to 0 when the game score is clicked. Okay, so let's have a look here. All right, everything's 0. There's a 10th. Boom, we've updated the 10th. There's another 10th. It's good. We haven't seen a rocket. There's a 10,000 rocket. Cool. And so it looks like our rockets, our 10,000th rocket, 10,000s rocket is actually doubling. So there's a bit of a bug there that we'd have to explore, but I'm just going to like gloss over that for the moment because I want to show you one other thing. The last thing I want to show you is how we can make these objects appear more interestingly around the screen. Because at the moment they just appear and they stay in the same spot. So I'm actually going to show you how we can make them move around the screen to make this game a little bit more interesting. Okay, I'm just going to do that with our units balloon here. So if I zoom in and I check out the code, the part that we're interested in here is when we start as a clone. So that a clone is just like a duplicate of a copy of the balloon. So this is a copy of the balloon. That's how we can see multiple ones up on the screen. All right. So when it starts as a clone, it starts in a random position. We show it, and then we're just waiting for a couple of seconds. This space object auto pop delay, which I think is about 2 seconds at the moment. So that's just a constant that I've created. So rather than waiting for that at the moment, what we're going to do instead is we're going to go jump into our motion, and we're going to glide for that delay to a random position. Okay. Rather than waiting, we're going to glide. So we're going to start at a random spot, we're going to show it, and then we're going to glide to a random position. I'm going to press the play button, and we're going to see what happens there to our units balloon. Here we go. So we're waiting for a balloon to spawn. It should move around the screen. There it is. Great. I can push it. Oh, that one's going really quick. That's hard to get. There's another one. I've got that one. That one's going nice and slow. So you could go ahead and add on each of these sprites that glide block to make your game a little bit more interesting. There we go. Those balloons are looking quite neat. You could add it just for a couple of ones. So maybe for the ones that are worth more, maybe you could make them a little bit harder. Look, there are heaps of things that you could do with this game to make it a bit more interesting. I just wanted to show you the bug that we had when we clicked on a rocket, and it adds 20,000. So I just have to go through a bit of a process there when I create this initial project. So this is all working as it should. When we go into our 10,000s rocket, we're broadcasting the message 10,000 is popped. And in our place value, we've got the code that we need for the 10,000s. Now, the thing is, this is also done in another place. So when I first created this project, on the stage, I actually had all those scoring blocks here on the stage, and I just made a choice to do that in the place value heading. So There is another condition when we are actually accounting for the 10,000s, and there's code that is probably a little bit more bug-free for that control statement. So if we ever got to 110,000, then we would set the 10,000s back to 0. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and delete that code block from the stage, and I'd encourage you to do the same. If I press the green flag and we see some rockets appear, there we go. So our score is updating as it should. The final thing that you'll probably need to do in your game is that you see here, I've clicked the 10,000s, you need to update the score too. So to go ahead and do that, you would need another operator, of course. You grab that block, pop it in, and then you can go and add your variable where you need. This one, you will also need to add your tenths in there. So when I click the green flag here, and we get a 10,000ths block rocket ship to pop up. When it does, come on, rocket ship. There is one. Okay, great, and awesome. So we've got that hooked up there. So you need to go ahead and do the same thing for the tenths.
That's all for this video, and that's a wrap for our series. Once again, programming is beautiful in that there are so many different ways to do the same thing. Drop me a comment below to show me how you did things differently for space value, but also to let me know how I can make this channel and its content awesome for you. If you like these videos, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to stay tuned for when I release more content, hit that subscribe button. But until then, I'm off to go find a wave. Take it easy.